Hello friends, my name is Hazy Baby and welcome to my channel, Crochet and Crime, where I crochet and talk about crime. Today is April 4th, 2023, and let's get to it. Okay, welcome to today. So I am starting back where I finished yesterday on those last two rounds. I was doing these to here, and so we are working on this row and then this row today. And I think I'll start the first story off with the Florida man that I was reading to you guys yesterday. Remembering back to yesterday's episode, and if you haven't seen yesterday's episode, I will just do a really quick recap. So yesterday, a Florida man was being charged with the stabbing murder of his wife and the alleged murder of his son after his toddler was found inside an alligator's mouth. So that was yesterday. Today, however, though, is a little bit more information on that. So let us get on with it. So missing Florida toddler who was found dead in the mouth of an alligator last week was put in a lake by his father, who was also accused of killing the child's mother, police say. Thomas Mosley, 21, now faces court with 2 counts of first-degree murder, according to the St. Petersburg police affiliates. Due to the extremely serious nature of the allegations surrounding these tragic events and tragic losses, our investigation is currently focused on gathering information about facts and circumstances in this case, as well as our client's mental space or state, according to a spokesperson for the 6th Judicial Circuit Public Defender, Sarah Marlowe, who said in a statement the previous... Oopsie daisies, just give me a quick second. Mosley allegedly did throw or place the child, his 2-year-old son, into the lake, inflicting mortal wounds that caused the child's death, according to one of the affiliates. I think his plan must have been to yeet his dead child, into the lake so that the alligator, I keep saying crocodile, sorry, I'm Australian, alligator would dispose of the remains and get rid of, those pesky guilt feelings. Super duper sad. So the night before Jeffrey was found, Mosley alleged went to his mother's house with severe lacerations to both of his hands and arms and consistent injuries that caused by the slippage during a knife attack. So if you don't know what that is, it's called follow through. And it is when somebody stabs somebody else with a knife. It's slippery, and they lose their tang or the grip, and their hand falls down the blade, and they get like striation marks across their hands, wherever their hands have slipped onto the blade. So it's how they've caught previous killers in the past, where they have said, that an intruder had killed their family and then tried to kill them. There was one woman, I can't remember exactly the case details, but it basically went something along the lines of she had murdered her entire family, all of her children, and then proceeded to try and slit her own wrists and her own throat, and failed. So attempted to cover up her heinous acts by then stabbing herself in the chest and in the shoulder blades a few times before calling an ambulance and stating that she had an intruder had broken into her home and killed all of her children and then proceeded to try and kill herself. Well, she changed that storyline so many times it was ridiculous, but that's not what gave her away, even though it was a big indication. What gave her away was these striation marks or follow-through marks on her hands. And if I remember correctly, in that case, they showed it was impossible via the use of a ruler and some ink, saying that defensive wounds looked a certain way and follow-through wounds looked a different way. So that is very interesting, but not to do with this case, except for the fact that Moseley has these severe lacerations on both of his hands and was admitted to hospital according to the affidavit. So he gave him, he got himself some medical care, which is nice, Get yourself some medical care. So on Thursday, Jeffrey's family went to check on her and allegedly saw blood on the sidewalk of her apartment, which rose suspicions, as it would, and they found Jeffrey inside dead with cuts and stab wounds with an excess of up to 100 stab wounds. It's a lot of stab wounds. That's a lot of passion, as they say. That's a lot of anger. No one stabs somebody that many times unless they truly hate them. Bloody footprint on a cleaning bottle, which had been intentionally placed under the bed in the crime scene, was identified to be Moseley's. Not the cleaning bottle, the fingerprint. A bloody shoe print with the Gucci emblem on the bottom was located on the bathroom floor where the victim was found. So, and lo and behold, old mate wears Gucci shoes. And apparently, this was totally not Gucci. So, the 2-year-old was not at the crime scene, so authorities automatically put out an Amber Alert, and they were worried for the child's safety. And they searched for the boy. However, the following day, an alligator was spotted in the Dell Homes Park, which is, I'm assuming, like like just a normal recreational kind of park, just kilometers away from where Jeffrey's was found dead. So just kilometers away from the mother, with an object in its mouth. I say that loosely, object. The police fired a gun, one single round at the reptile, and for it to drop the object, and the officers were able to retrieve what they discovered was Talon's body, which was actually still intact, according to police. The alligator was euthanized, though, because it had a gunshot wound, and in all fairness, for anyone out there who's getting really upset in spaghetti that they shot an alligator, they had no idea of knowing whether that child was still alive or not, and if that was your child, you would want them to shoot the alligator too. So Moseley was booked at the county jail on Friday, and according to the website of the sheriff's office, is held out on bond. Sorry, he's not held out on bond, but he's having a bond hearing on April 11th. So hopefully I will have more news for you regarding that later on in my podcasts. All right. So you can see that's really lovely. So it just does 2 singles in the top, and then two double crochets in between the spaces in between. This next story is out of Australia, so yay, back to Australia. And it is, I'm just going to check this other one to make sure that I am doing the same sort of stitch on the end here. Yep, 2 into the top. Okay, that's good. Where was I? Yeah, so the judge is back to Australia, and it's actually regarding an NFL. Nope. NRL. Thank you very much. Anyway, an NRL player, apparently NFL is on my brain. Don't ask me why, I don't know. My brain is funny. It works in mysterious ways. It works in mysterious ways. It's alright, it's alright, it's alright. I digress and I sing this way. You're welcome, anytime. time. So jurors in Jared Hayes' third trial over a sexual assault allegations have been asked to push forward after 17 hours of discussions failed to bring about a unanimous verdict. So after receiving a note that the jury was unable to agree on whether the former Parramatta winger was guilty or not guilty on Monday, so the judge sent them back to continue their deliberations. Experience has shown that juries can often agree if given more time to consider and discuss the issue, the judge said, in declining to discharge the jury. So I ask, he said, that they preserve. Let's see if they persevere, sorry, not preserve. They're not a bunch of freaking lemons. If they persevere to see if they can reach a unanimous decision. So the judge is pretty much saying, look, guys, we're not in any kind of hurry. This is about getting justice here and not about, rushing the situation. Oh, I wanted to see what that zoom button did. Apparently, it did the thing that zoom buttons do, and it zoomed. The jurors retrieved to consider their verdict on March 27th after a 2-week trial where the 35-year-old rugby league player faced 2 counts of sexual intercourse without consent. Ew. This is the 3rd trial he has faced over these alleged allegations, which he has consistently declined to comment on. And look, if my whole career hung in the balance, I would not risk it with commenting either. So, yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm really a little bit worried that this camera keeps fuzzing up. But we shall persevere. We shall persevere, like these jurors. Okay, this is not as important, but yeah. The former Eels player visited the women's suburban Newcastle home after a friend's bucks party on the NRL, there we go, got it correct, grand final night in 2018. It's alleged he pulled her jeans off and performed sex acts for about 30 seconds before she began to bleed. The woman he is accused of assaulting cannot be identified for legal reasons. Her previously recorded evidence was played out in the jury in a closed court. So I'm glad that they kept her name anonymous, because really in these kind of high profile cases, the victim sort of gets lost in the sort of celebrity of the perpetrator. So the alleged perpetrator, sorry, he hasn't been convicted yet. Innocent until proven guilty and all that jazz. But I really dislike these kinds of cases because, women's voices are very rarely heard. And then when they are heard, it kind of feels a little bit like no one believes them because the person is famous. So that's just my opinion. And opinions, like my grandma used to tell me, are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. Doesn't mean we want to hear it or see it. So, moving right along. Ta-da! Alright, so moving on to a different kind of sports celebrity here in Australia, Michael Slater, who's been charged with assaulting and obstructing police at Noosa Heads. So the former Test cricket match star, I say that quite loosely because I only know his name slightly, Michael Slater has been charged with allegedly assaulting and obstructing police over an incident on the central coast of Queensland in a holiday town just before midnight on Friday. So Queensland police were called to an alleged domestic violence matter and a medical incident at a home in Noosa Heads. So when they arrived, Slater allegedly obstructed police and assaulted an officer who suffered a small cut to his hand. No one else was physically injured in the incident, the Queensland Police said, and Slater played 74 matches in the baggy greens, scoring 5,312 runs at an average of 42.83 after making his debut during the 1993 Ashes tour, which is in England, just in case anyone would like to know. He also played 42 one-day internationals before retiring from major cricket in 2004, and embarked on a successful commentary career with 9 and 7 networks, which is actually where I know his name from. I know him as a commentator. I obviously assumed that he was a cricketer at some point, but I don't remember him as a cricketer. 'Cause I'm just a baby. The 53-year-old is suspected to appear at the Noosa's Magistrate Court on May 2nd. So, just over a month's time. If you're listening, I ask that if you are part of domestic violence or you have some sort of domestic problem in your home, please contact Lifeline on 131114 or Beyond Blue on 1300 22 463. If someone you know is impacted by domestic violence or family violence, please call the 1-800-RESPECT number, which is actually 1-800-737-732 here in Australia. Or you can also visit the Respect hotline online, which is 1-800-RESPECT.org.au. And in an emergency, always call 000. So I'm a big advocate for everybody having a say. So if you see violence, please report it, because we can't do anything about it if everyone just keeps sweeping it under the rug and pretending that it's not happening. Don't be the person who says, oh, it's not my business. No, it is your business. Report it. I'm not saying get involved. I am saying report it, though. This next story comes out of Adelaide, where police are on a search for a missing father. So police are beginning to search through a landfill site for the remains of an Adelaide father who was allegedly murdered and dismembered. So Jeffrey McLean went missing on August 29th, 2022, and in October his torso was found in a wheelie bin in Salisbury South. So I think it's safe to say that he is no longer missing anymore, that he is deceased. 4 people have been charged with his murder, which is, good news. It's good news that they have some suspects. So Detective Superintendent Des Bray said police officers are beginning to search through the landfill in Adelaide's northern suburbs for the rest of McLean's remains. As part of the investigation, we were able to recover his torso, but there are other body parts that have been missing, according to Bray, which is the detective. The investigation has identified those remains were placed into rubbish bags and the rubbish bins in the vicinity of where the offenders live. Offenders being the operative word there. So Brace said police have identified 70% of the rubbish in the bins in the area was sent to this landfill site and packed into large bales similar in size to that of a giant wool bale. Each weighs about 1.5 tonne and between 100 and 150 bales have to be searched. So they haven't been searched yet, they have to be searched. If his remains are in those bales, I am confident that we will find them. I actually don't think that they will be. I'm not basing this on any sort of superior knowledge of the crime scene. I just feel like torso is, they were probably thinking wouldn't be able to identify him, but I don't think they're going to find his legs, arms, and head, which is really sad, but that's just my thoughts. You know, based on previous crime stories that I've read and heard, the likelihood of them finding the rest of that man's body is pretty slim. I don't think they threw it away in the bins, but let's hope they do find him, because that'll give his family some sort of, I don't know what it will give them, help them grieve. But if the remains were in the other 30% of the rubbish, it's unclear where it would have been sent. Just give me a quick second to finish this corner, and then we're going to change colours while I read the end of this. So we finish with the colour now. Just gonna chop it. And we're gonna grab our black. So police officers said that they do need a little bit of luck, because they know that 30% of the rubbish from the area, they have no idea where it's gone. So police expect that it could take several days to go through the bales, and I would hate to be the officers who have to do that job. It would be absolutely horrible. Ugh, having to go through rubbish that's like months and months old. Disgusting. Oh, and that to be the final resting place of that poor person. I really hope he's not in the rubbish. Well, I kind of hope he is so they can find him, but still. Police expect it'll take, like I said, several days to go through the bales. They're running double shift, searching at 2 teams at a time, and they're sifting through the rubbish, wearing special suits and using rakes and tools. Yeah, and their hands. So, interesting. I don't think I would like to use my hands to search for stuff. So this last round is literally just a set of triple crochets, half double crochets. There we go, I got there in the end. They're wearing special suits though, so hopefully, you know, none of that landfill will get in there. None of that gross debris will get in their lungs. The people from the landfill will remove the bales and drag them out to an open area where 4 to 6 at a time will search them systematically, pull them apart, and look at the contents to see if they can find any of Jeffrey's remains, Bray said. Ugh, imagine if they found someone else's remains. That's horrifying, Haley. Why would you say that? I don't know, I'm crazy. Hazy baby, seriously. And now you're talking to yourself. Well, actually, technically talking to you too. Yeah, you know you love me. Before his disappearance, McLean was subject to 4 separate attacks, police said last year. These involved being attacked by the person with acid, being struck with a log splitter, having his car set alight, and having another bucket of acid thrown on him. Bray said police will continue searching for the remainder of Mr. McLean's remains for as long as it takes. I'm sure no one would want their loved ones discarded and put into landfill, and we're committed to do everything humanly possible to recover his remains, no matter how difficult and challenging that might be. So, I have so many questions after reading this article. Firstly, who are these 4 people that are his alleged murderers? And why was he attacked 4 times before he was obviously successfully murdered, because they were trying to make it look like an accident to start with? Or they were trying to purposely maim him. I mean, attacked by a person with acid, struck by a log splitter, had his car set alight, and had a bucket of acid thrown at him, and he still didn't die, and then eventually they found his torso in a bin. So I have so many questions, which obviously this article doesn't answer, and I don't have the answers to. So now I leave you as frustrated as I am. Okay. This next story comes out of Queensland, and it is regarding a man who has been charged with the use of a long-bladed weapon in a violent dispute in Queensland. So a man's been charged after a long-bladed weapon was used in an attack on another man over the weekend in Queensland. Police allege a dispute occurred after 9:30 p.m. on Sunday at a home west of Milleraman, where a 56-year-old man sustained significant injuries to his hand. The man was rushed to Toowoomba Base Hospital and is in a critical condition where he remains, which is absolutely shocking. So the man was charged with grievous bodily harm, which is a big charge here. So a 25-year-old man allegedly fled the scene and was found a short time later by the police at a service station on the Gore Highway in the Captain's Mountain. He has since been charged with 1 count of grievous bodily harm and is expected to appear at the Toowoomba Magistrates Court today. Peace. I always keep saying that. Police believe the men are known to each other. Well, I want to hope so. I want to hope that some random stranger doesn't come up behind you and start attacking you with a long-bladed weapon, because otherwise that is hashtag new fear unlocked. New fear unlocked. Now I'm thinking about that. Great. Just before I tell this story, I would like to give you a chance to pause or move on from this video if you would like. I'm about to talk about the rape and sexual assault of children. So if you would not like to hear about that, please, I will not be offended if you scroll on. So former ultra-Orthodox Jewish principal, I'm not even going to say her name because I feel like she doesn't deserve it, is found guilty of indecently assaulting and raping 2 former students. Yeah, so she's been found guilty of 18, that's right, you heard correctly, 18 sexual abuse offences against 2 former students. Jurors on Monday handed down a mixed verdict against the 56-year-old mother of 8. After a trial in the Victorian City Court. So well done, Victoria. She was accused of sexually assaulting Melbourne sisters Nicole Meyer and Dassie Urich, and their sister Ellie Snapner, at the, I don't know how to say the name of this school, and I don't want to say it incorrectly, but it's an Israel school in Melbourne's eastern suburbs between 2003 and 2007. So jurors convicted her, so they were convinced, and they convicted her of the 18 offences related to offending against Urich and Sapper. She was accused of another 9 charges, but acquitted of those, including the 5 that related to Maya and several charges evolving around Urich. So Leffler, who sat with her head, well, I did name her, her head tilted watching the jury, did not react as the verdict was read, because they rarely react. They don't think they did anything wrong. And if they are ashamed, they're ashamed that they got caught, not ashamed of what they've done. 2 of the victims were in the court for the verdict. She was appointed the principal of this school, of an all-girls school, after arriving in Melbourne in 2001, but was stood down when the allegations were raised in 2008. She fled to Israel days after she was charged in 2014 and began a years-long battle against extradition, which I am glad that they sent her back. The sisters told jurors they were abused on school camps, during private lessons at the school, and at her home. Prosecutor Justin Lewis argued that Lefia had a tendency to have a sexual interest in girls when they were teenage students at the school, and those same girls were student teachers. So they became teachers. That's so sad. Lewis said the tendency was to engage in sexual activities with them and to take advantage of their vulnerabilities, ignorance in sexual matters, and her position as authority in order to do so. And I agree. She found vulnerable women and took advantage of their naivety, their inexperience, and all of that. See, women do abuse as well, guys. It's really important that we note that women can be abusers as well. You're giving us a bad name, lady. Ugh, I just feel so sick right now. He attacked the credibility of the sisters, which is like their favourite thing to do in court. Let's blame the victims, in accusing one of telling blatant lies in her evidence. Truth and reliability were lost in false accounts, he said, which actually is now going to piss me right off. My biggest thing that I have with these trials is it is so difficult to get people to believe you as a victim, and then to have the courts run your name through the dirt because their client was filthy and disgusting is so unfair. It's just so unfair. They're innocent until proven guilty, and you as a victim are guilty because you could be lying. You might be lying. You might have stretched the truth somehow. It's victim blaming and it's blame shaming for sure. And one of the things that it just irks me. It irks me something shocking. Perhaps even at times he hardened into false imaginations and false memories of false realities. So that's lots of the use of the word false there, Jeffrey. I just need a minute to compose myself because I'm getting really angry. So outside court, her victim's results said that it was bittersweet because she was not found guilty on all charges. But, oh, wait a second. Oopsie daisies. See, I got so angry then. What have I done here? Back there. Sorry, look, I got so agitated I stuffed myself up. Okay. All three girls are looking forward to moving on with their lives, but as a victim of sexual assault, I must say it's impossible. It's always just there. When you know your truth and the truth is the truth, truth will prevail. And it did today. Malka Lefia was found guilty, Sapa said. Knowing that she could abuse other people, we couldn't resist or rest with the knowledge of what she did to us. How could we allow her to get away with it and continue abusing other girls? We couldn't rest with the knowledge, one of the victims said. She is guilty. We have waited 11 years to say those words. She'll be sentenced at a later date. Look, cases like this really piss me off. And it pisses me off because the court system is just shit. Society is shit. Everything is shit. Okay. I think I'll just move on from that story. Shake it off. Just shake it off. I bet you guys love listening to my slow spiral of insanity. So this next story is about a woman who ran over her husband and his mistress. And it comes out of Brisbane, which is in Queensland. So a woman who ran over her husband and his mistress when finding them together on a roadside has managed to avoid going to jail. So a Brisbane District Court trial last year was told that Christy Lee Kennedy, 38, had been married to David Larkin for almost a decade when she found that he was having an affair with Zoe Noring in March of 2021. So using her laptop locator app, Kennedy quickly tracked down her husband and discovered him talking to his lover by the side of the road in Waverley Heights in Brisbane's north. You can tell where this is going to go. So she accelerated towards them, on the wrong side of the road, mind you, for some time before driving into the duo. The Crown Prosecutor Jennifer O'Brien told the jury at the trial. The mother of two also got out of her car, grabbed Miss Noring by the hair, and repeatedly punched her while screaming obscenities, the court was told. Why is she blaming the mistress? Seriously. She was found not guilty, with the majority of the verdict on the 2 counts of malicious acts with intent to disable. Oh, that's not fair. She totally intended to disable. She found where they were, drove to where they were, crossed to the wrong side of the road, and ran them down. She then got out, grabbed her by her hair, and started punching her in the face. And yet, the majority jury verdict was that it wasn't intentional. Then what was she frickin' gonna do? Make him some toast? Jesus. The jury was discharged, however, after being unable to make a verdict on the alternate charges of assault, occasional bodily harm, while armed, because a, something and a half ton vehicle is considered a weapon. Due to face a retrial this week on those charges, she instead pled guilty on Monday to a downgraded charge of driving dangerously. Jesus. She earlier pled guilty to an assault charge stemming from the same incident. Kennedy was sentenced on Monday to a 9-month suspended jail sentence, which means she gets to go home, disqualified from driving for 9 months, and ordered to pay Mr. Larkin and Miss Noring $5,000 each. Now look, I'm an angry ginger. Everyone who knows me knows that. I'm also a very loving ginger. But I don't agree with this. I don't agree that she confronted not her husband, but the mistress. And this seems to be that she's putting most of the blame on this mistress. While she did run down her husband at the same time, it's the mistress who she got out and beat up. So I feel like it takes two to tango, I know. But in all honesty, why is the mistress the one who's copping the flack? I mean, maybe there's more to this story. Maybe she asked her to, stay away from my man or something. I don't know. But whatever the reason, I feel like this is just, it's not a good reaction to have. Don't go running down your ex-partner because, when they cheat on you, they automatically become your ex, apparently, according to my brain. Be the bigger person. Literally. Walk away. I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, oh, you don't know what it's like. No, you're right. I don't know what it's like. But I do know that I wouldn't be blaming the mistress, that's for sure. Alrighty, so I'm just going to finish off this round here. And that is us for the news for the day. I think we are done. Yeah, so I thank you for your time. And if you like this video, like I said, like and subscribe. Please, 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 because I would love to do this as a living, just crocheting and talking about crime. Wouldn't it be fantastic? Wouldn't that be hashtag living the dream? So like I said, if you like this content, please like and subscribe, follow, and I shall see you tomorrow. As soon as I get to this corner. And that is it. Ta-da! Da-da-da-da-da-da! There we go. And we have another one. If you were wondering, yes, this is bigger than yesterday's one, because yesterday's one I couldn't help myself and I had to finish it. So these are the shorter ones that are going to connect to these longer ones, but I had finished it because I hate looking at undone projects or unfinished projects, so I started another one before doing this channel today. So, which is the reason why it looks longer, because it is longer. Alrighty, thanks for your time today, and I shall see you tomorrow. From one Australian to another. See you tomorrow. Bye!